can do the remote pointer. Okay. Two things with two hands. Yeah. I am Milos. Very brief history. I'm going to go from here. I'm used to doing left-handed. Originally from Yugoslavia, born in Belgrade, capital of what used to be Yugoslavia, now it's Serbia, it's a lot smaller. Typical Eastern European capital. Here we're coming to America, 1960, having just crossed the North Atlantic in January, aboard the SS United States. Puked all the way across the Atlantic, horrible. I know. We settled in San Francisco. I went to San Francisco State University. Also did some time at Hayward, Cal State Hayward, SRI Biosonar Lab, working with dolphins and all that. Graduate work at the Moss Landing Marine Lab, campus on the beach, yes, where we learned about kelp forest ecology, coastal dune dynamics, all kinds of cool stuff. And of course, the twin pillars of higher education, beach volleyball and Zen Frisbee. We Presbyterians, we had a religious order. We believed, among other things, that when you die, your soul goes up on the roof and you can't get it down. There I am, back in 1972. And I've done many things along the way. I've taught at local universities, Chapman, CSUFO, which is what it was originally, Cal State University, Fort Ord. And led expeditions in Alaska, all over the world, on foot, by bicycle, kayak, worked closely with local wildlife, whenever possible, taken pictures of wildlife. They are related, but they don't usually travel together. Also, I've had hour-long science call-in shows on KUSP, KSQD, and while I was there, I also wrote and recorded 300 and some little science vignettes, little 90-second, just fun things. It's here. They're about just things that I thought were interesting along the way, and they would play them during station break and when things were slow. So let's put on this 90-second thing. And it was so popular, people would call and ask the station for hard copies. So we came up with 4 books, all of which I had sold out. But lucky you, there's a way you can get some of these. Just to give you a flavor, based on true story stuff, reindeer games. This is topical, Christmas time. Look, Mommy, these reindeer have tumors. Well, they're not tumors, but the word does start with T, testicles. And like all other mammals, reindeer have them. Half the reindeer have them. This is important because of what happened at a large shopping mall a few years ago. Now, people are hearing this on the radio as they're going to work, driving home, at work, cooking dinner, whatever, and they're reindeer. Big shopping mall, they decided to have anatomically correct reindeer as part of their annual Santa exhibit suspended overhead. As it turned out, not everyone took delight in looking at that part of reindeer anatomy, correct or not. And so, this being America, one mall patron filed suit to have the offending bits removed or at least covered with some sort of reindeer modesty shorts. Right out of the paper. You can't make this shit up. Both sides then argued the merits of their respective perspectives in court, but in the end, the reindeer were allowed to keep what was dear to them. The problem was, while the mall manager had their anatomy right, his knowledge of reindeer natural history was a bit off the mark. Turns out, unlike the deer most of us are familiar with, male and female reindeer look the same for much of the year. No, the females don't have testicles, but they do have antlers. Both male and female reindeer have antlers. The problem is the male reindeer shed their antlers after the rut, the breeding season, September, October, early November. One morning, they get up. Wow, that feels better. So the only reindeer who still have antlers at Santa time are the females. They keep them until the babies are born, like January. So Santa's reindeer were all girls.
Yeah.
Cool.
Vixen, Dixon? No. Donna, Blitzen. They were all girls. And I think that's just as well, because if I had to visit millions of homes in the dead of winter, in the middle of the night, I think I would just as soon have female reindeer guiding my sleigh that night, because if the need arose, at least they would stop and ask for directions. Yes. So anyway, there are 50 stories in each book. There are 4 books, and you can avail yourself of them later. Anyway, for the last 23 years, I've been working on cruise ships, sometimes 10, 11 months of the year, sometimes just 3 or 4 months, all over the world. And this is what my audiences look like. Wow. So you guys are not intimidating me. I'm sorry?
I said, I was in that audience.
Yeah, you were. You were right about, right about here somewhere. Yeah. Anyway, lots of... so today we're going to talk about Mars. Just lots of pictures, very few bullet points or things. And normally it's like, what is this to do with SkeptiCamp? Well, because Mars is such a big part of our culture and our history, fascination for thousands of years. We've been tracking it. The retrograde motion fascinated us. The red color, the orange color, the pumpkin planet, the planet of war, of aggression. Ooh. Okay, I have to, warning, program contains science. I have to do that on the cruise ship, just to give them a heads up. Well, yeah, I don't want people leaving halfway through, because I can't hear this, we can't hear this stuff, we have to leave. Okay. So, Mars, the Roman god of war, or Ares, the Greek god. In fact, in the constellation of Scorpius, the heart of the scorpion, Antares, because it's right in the ecliptic, and certain times of the year, Mars goes right through Antares, and it looks just like Antares, this big red giant star. And so this is the not Mars, not Ares, it's Antares. I know. But of course, my favorite Martian, remember? Ray Walston, yes. And what happens when he puts his antennas up?
Disappears.
Yep, he disappears. So in the 70s, there was a big flurry of activity. We were sending stuff. The Mariners and the Vikings. No, they're not two teams that are rival, because one's football, one's baseball. But we sent the Mariners to, these are photo flybys and orbiters, to map the surface of Mars for potential Viking landings. And it worked really, really well. And we sent 2 of these, and they had sample-y things and diggy things and incubators and all of that. So we sampled some Martian soil, put it in the incubator, overcooked it, decided there wasn't any sign of organic stuff. We didn't know about perchlorates and the fact that the cooking killed off whatever might have been there. Now we're reevaluating some of those early readings and like, oh, they might have been positive. So we keep learning as we keep learning. And of course, one of the products of this Mariners thing was the face on Mars. It was in all the scientific publications you could buy at the checkout counter at the supermarket as you're going out. Oh yeah, the face on Mars, yes, the aliens. And of course, it was taken out of context. Here's the context. The Cydonia region, lots of volcanism, lots of volcanic stuff. The dots that make the hairline, the nostril, and the beauty mark, they're actually signal dropouts, because this was back in the 70s, and it took forever to get the signal. Pictures line by line, and signal dropouts had these little black dots everywhere. It just happened to be there. Now, since then, we've had high resolution, as was mentioned, the Mars Odyssey, Mars Express, Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. We've gotten much higher resolution images of the entire planet, including the face. I know. I mean, sad. But we see faces. And pareidolia, yes, we see faces. And
that's a lion.
Yeah, see, okay, you picked it right out. I mean, the face is right there. And if you didn't know it was there, you wouldn't make a big deal. Now, I like the panther, the Black Panther. I mean, there it is.
I like it too.
And then the big thing over here, Right there, yeah.
That's a lion.
I know, there's stuff everywhere. And we see,
That's Bigfoot.
Wow.
I mean, we see stuff and faces, we love faces.
No, those are good.
Faces and yeah, see that coming over the hill. And we love faces.
Yeah.
We see faces, faces. It's the underside of a turtle, but it looks like a face. The cooktop faces in your Revere ware. Faces, faces, faces. We love faces. You can't. Nobody's immune. Nobody's immune. We're all subject to this stuff. And this is the scariest thing of all. Missouri woman finds Donald Trump's face in a tub of butter. Like, no. But is it a warrior planet? So much of what we see when we go look for things is a projection of what we expect to see, what we want to see. So, warrior planet, maybe. Here's a baby elephant. This is on Mars. This is a picture from Mars. And you can find a baby elephant. You can find a smiley face or a heart. So if there's love in your heart, you will find it out in the world. Anyway, the big thing that concerns us, of course, is attack. Mars, yes, love it. And we're fascinated. The War of the Worlds, the original one, and of course the crappy remake with Tom Cruise. Just like The Day the Earth Stood. Leave them alone. A Day the Earth Stood Still, black and white, 1951. Michael Rennie. Nothing matches it. You can't do it. Anyway, John Carter, The Angry Red Planet, and of course my favorite, Martian, and then more recently, The Martian. Actually, pretty damn good.
Excellent book.
Yeah, except for the windstorm, but without the windstorm, you don't have a movie. Anyway, so I actually enjoy that. And of course, the big thing is that the Martians overpopulated, ran out of technology, and in the last desperate move, built an armada of spaceships, crossed 60 million miles of interplanetary space to invade Earth and take our resources. Why would we think that? Why would we think they would do that? Oh yeah, that's because that's our history. Small postage stamp-sized countries in Europe overpopulated, ran out of resources, and then invaded the rest of the world, the Americas, Africa, Australia, Asia, and stole resources from people who were technologically inferior. So, not surprising. And of course, if the books and stories and movies are correct, the number one resource that, look, new iPhone 3. The number one resource that the aliens would be after is our women. Yes, the women, busty women in tight clothing, and I think it's more an indication of the authors of the books, stories, and movies. Lonely, geeky guys who never had good luck with women, Earth women, and of course their worst nightmare is that not only are they never going to get Earth women, but aliens will come from another planet and get Earth women, and it's just not fair. All right, it's time for the Mars thing. I'm sorry.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
I just have to do it. Have to do it. All right. So they're coming after our women. So Mars is a planet kind of like Earth in many ways. Half the size, 38% of the gravity. So structurally similar with a core, mantle, and core. It didn't have the benefit of having a planet the size of Mars slam into it like we did, giving us a much larger core than many of the other planets. In fact, you can fit Mars inside of our core. Yeah, about 4,000 miles diameter. Ours is molten metal, but you could fit Mars inside of our planet. And just like we have a moon, Jupiter has moons, Saturn has moons, Uranus has moons, everybody has moons, Mars has moons. But its moons are tiny. Our moon is huge. We're actually like a binary planet system. Our moon is 1/80th of the mass, but it's 1/4 of the size. It's huge compared to all the other moons in the solar system, except for Pluto and Charon. But anyway, tiny. Phobos and Deimos, fear and dread, the two war horses that pulled the chariot of the Roman god of war, Mars. And they were big, fat, strong things. And so they have orbits around Mars. Phobos is in a lower orbit, which is decaying, and maybe in 1 million years or so, it's going to plummet into the Martian surface, probably Elon's colony there with the domes and all that. Phobos will do that. But it's a fascinating planet. It has the biggest volcano in the solar system, Olympus Mons, the Mount of Olympus. It's the giantest volcano, 640 kilometers, the size of Arizona or France, if you're European. And it is a monster, 26 kilometers high. If you're flying in a jet plane at 45,000 feet, it's double your out. I mean, it's huge. It's huge. The caldera is 84 kilometers, 50 miles across, 2 miles deep. Massive, massive, massive. Here's Olympus Mons compared to Hawaii, Mauna Kea, and Everest. It is huge, enormous. And there are some who think these are wave-cut edges. This may have been surrounded by ocean, much like Hawaii. And speaking of Hawaii, there's the Big Island.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for comparison.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you can drop it into the caldera.
wow.
This is enormous. It's huge. And of course, people have been looking at Mars forever, but back in the 1870s, Giovanni Schiaparelli was fascinated with Mars, loved Mars, stared at it every night. You could see that wasn't cloud cover. He would look at Mars. He mapped it. He drew it time and time and time again. And as often happens when you spend a lot of time looking at stuff, you start hallucinating. I've done a lot of hundreds of whale watching trips, and it's like, okay, is that a wave or is that a whale? I mean, I saw that curve. I thought I saw a dorsal. That could have been. I think that was a whale, and we call it a whale. And you start seeing stuff, and he mapped out interesting places. I mean, he got the polar ice cap, the Hellas impact basin, and the big Arabia Plain. I mean, the big deserts. He kind of got that. But he also saw these things that he called canali. Now, in reality, they're not there. But we do have the polar caps, the Hellas impact basin, the Arabia, and all that. So some of the things do correspond to the real world, but the canali just weren't there. And it may have been the optics, it may have been just his, maybe he had cataracts, I don't know. But he called them canali, which in Italian means channels or grooves, lines. Well, at about the same time, Percival Lowell, who founded the Lowell Observatory and an amateur astronomer, philanthropist, wanted to bring astronomy to the public. So he built the Lowell Observatory, beautiful, Flagstaff, Arizona. And he was fascinated by Mars, and he loved the idea of canali. The fact that he didn't speak Italian may have been partly why he misinterpreted canali from grooves and channels. Now, remember what was happening in the 1890s. France was at its highest point. I mean, they had just finished building the Suez Canal. Ferdinand de Lesseps just finished building the Suez Canal. They were embarking on the Panama Canal. Canals were being built all over the eastern U.S., the Great Lakes in Europe. Canals were the superhighways of the 1800s. And so to Percival Lowell, canali translated to canals. Canals are man-made. Canals are artificial. And so he thought, aha, canals. There must have been these Martians, they ran out of water and they built canals to bring water from the polar ice caps to the tropics where all the cities were, and he just went nuts with it. And of course, there were no canals. But there are big water features on Mars. The great Valles Marineris, which sounds like an Italian dish. We went to what did you have we had the Valles Marineris. Oh, that's with the penne pasta and the red sauce. Yes, it was great. Garlic, cilantro. But it's actually the Valley of the Mariners because it was the Mariner spacecraft, the photographic missions to prepare for the Vikings and subsequent landings. And they discovered this gash, 4,000 mile diameter planet. 4,000 mile diameter planet. This thing is 2,000 miles long. This is enormous. It's 500 miles wide, 1 to 2 miles deep. It is incredible. And so there clearly was water flowing on Mars at some time in the distant past. So I researched on the internet. I wanted to see. There are many artists' renditions of what Mars might have looked like with water. So I typed in water on Mars. I got that.
Oh no.
I didn't do this. Somebody else took the time to actually pose this, take a picture of it, and post it online. So it's another lesson about how stupid the internet is. It doesn't know what you meant. It just knows what you typed in.
Right.
So water on Mars. But this is what I was looking for. Mars with oceans and lakes and waters. And we have found water on Mars. Today there's water, not liquid sloshing around on the surface, but in some of the lower areas, clearly signs of water, subterranean water, permafrost, especially in some of the big impact basins there, the Hellas and Argier. And then, of course, right here in this dome, radar, ground-penetrating radar, has found glaciers of water ice today on Mars at the head of the Valles Marineris. Wow. And then clear signs of water flow here into what used to be presumably oceans, having been resurfaced by volcanism and so on, compared to the older stuff that looks like the moon, still has left over from the late heavy bombardment. And we've also found methane, small amounts, trace amounts of methane, in some places more than others. Methane is important because methane is organic. On Earth, we have methane from ruminants and termites and bogs and things like that, where bacteria are breaking down organic material, carbon-based stuff, in the absence of oxygen. With oxygen, you make carbon dioxide and water. In the absence of oxygen, you make methane. And there's methane all over in bogs and swamps, in deep water, clathrates or methane ice, they call it. And it was all from organic sources. Even the inorganic methane comes from oil and gas, deposits, which ultimately come from biology. So all the methane on Earth, one way or another, comes from biology. So the fact that there's methane on Mars is interesting. And in the absence of oxygen, it's not going to break down like it does on Earth. Question?
So would there ever have been liquid water on Mars?
Yes.
Okay, but isn't it really cold there?
Is it really cold there? Yeah, I don't mean 2 weeks ago, but 3 billion years ago,
Okay.
while Mars still had a magnetic field before its core solidified. As Mars is smaller, it's farther out, it cooled faster, the magnetic field went away. Without a protective magnetic field, the solar wind stripped away its atmosphere. Without an atmosphere, all the liquid water boiled away to space, except the stuff that it's in underground and permafrost in the ice caps and tied up in minerals and so on. So there's still a lot of water on Mars. It's just not sloshing on the surface anymore. And now the atmosphere is like 1/10. It's like 0.4% of what atmospheric pressure is on Earth. So it's, for all intents and purposes, it's like the vacuum of space. And any surface water would just boil away. But it's still there underground. And methane, not only is it found in trace amounts, but there seems to be seasonal variability in the amount of methane. And we don't know of any geologic processes that result in seasonal variation. And people have wondered about the fact that you have volcanism here in the Tharsis region, including Olympus Mons right there. And then over here, there's a little bit of volcanism. Why only here and why only here? Big area of volcanism here, smaller area of volcanism over there. And then we look, oh, look what's on the other side of the planet from the Tharsis region. Aha! We have this thing, the Hellas impact, 2,300 kilometers, 1,400-mile impact crater. Almost exactly opposite the planet. And then opposite from the Elysium, we have the Argyre impact, only 1,100 miles. And yeah. So here's some of the thinking that a long time ago, when the planet was still a little squishy, something hit the one side, and then the impact produced shock waves that went around, liquefied the stuff just below the surface over here, and produced this temporary period of volcanism. And the same thing, yeah, there it is, the Hellas impact. Hell of a deal. Hellas, of course, is Greece. And then in the 1997, the last part of the 20th century, the last century. Somebody told me that you were born in last half of the last century. Like, what? Yeah. So we sent out the Pathfinder mission with a little Sojourner the size of a microwave oven.
No.
With 6 electrically powered wheels, a solar panel, a couple of cameras, and antenna. And we set it out on Mars as a proof of concept to see if we can do this. And we expected it to run for a couple of weeks maybe and send some pictures. So here it is, going to Mars, arriving 8.5 months later at 12,500 miles an hour, like a meteor slamming through the really rare atmosphere. But at 12,500 miles an hour, you're going to make a show. And then the parachute, supersonic parachute, that was not quite up to the task of slowing it way down. It had to have retro rockets when it got close to the ground. And there's the parachute, there are the retro rockets, and there's the package right there. This little guy right there in a ball, like a raspberry of Kevlar balloons. This thing is inside of that. And so the balloons deflated and the ramp fell down. It was a 3-bladed, like a flower opening, 3 petals. One of them was a ramp. This drove onto the Martian surface and lasted for 3 months. They were expecting that it would, last a few days, maybe. 3 months, the thing drove around on this little electric wheels, took pictures, sent back postcards. It was great. So buoyed by the success of the Sojourner, in 2004, they sent two things, Spirit and Opportunity, but not the size of a microwave oven. These were the size of golf carts, and they were amazing. And they were sent to opposite sides of Mars within 2 weeks of each other. Both landed perfectly, did everything and the bouncy thing is really cute. They brought it to within like 50 feet of the surface, and then they dropped it. And it just kind of bounced. And then the Kevlar balloons were deflated, the ramps opened up, and the thing drove onto the Martian surface, and there it is. Hi, my name is Spirit. The size of golf carts, 6 electrically powered wheels, solar panels, high gain antenna, low gain antenna, cameras up here, wide angle, telephoto, spaced about this far apart, kind of like a person, so you have stereoscopic vision, which is amazing. And at the front, it had a robotic arm. Now, the Sojourner had nothing. This had a robotic arm. Reach out and touch someone. There's a microscope, a spectrophotometer, and because many of the Martian rocks have been oxidized, because when the water was subjected to solar wind, the water dissociated into hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen escaped to space. The oxygen bound to the rocks and just oxidized everything. So to get to the bottom of the rock, you have to scrape off the outer layers. And so they have this thing called a RAT, a rock abrasion tool. That's like at the Marine Lab when we wanted to order shovels. The administration wouldn't pay for shovels, so we had to order geotomes. Geotomes, they're only $6. Wow, what a good deal you got on geotomes. Yes, we got them. So it's all about naming things. And so the rock abrasion tool, which is basically a surface grinder, would nuzzle up to a rock face and then just go, yeah. And then they would bring the spectrophotometer and the microscope and do all the testing they wanted to do. But of course, any of you who have worked with power tools, you know what happens when you use a bit that's a little too big and a material that's a little too resistant, and you start to drill without doing a pilot hole first. You start to go and the tool jams, the drill jams, and as you're pulling, all of a sudden, it torques over. So people were concerned, what if the rat jams? So they actually said, what if it does that? Well, here we go. Let's see what happens. Jam, jam, jam. And then...
Oh man, that sucks.
Now, of course, that didn't happen. But people were concerned. People worried. And so, but it actually did good work. And here's one of the things they were looking for is signs, evidence of water, standing water, oceans. That means sedimentary rock. And they found sedimentary rock. Here's a rat mark right there. They found sedimentary rock, and embedded in the layers and even in the eroded areas around there, they found these little things. Blueberries, they call them, because they were kind of bluish, purplish in color. Here's a close-up of the Martian blueberries. Turns out they're hematite, iron oxide, identical in size and composition to hematite beads we found on Earth in dry lake beds and river place, where stuff condensed. On Earth, when we take these blueberries apart, cut them in half, we'll put them under a microscope, we find dead bacteria bodies as the initiator, the nucleating agent that started this process. Do we have that on Mars? We don't know. It'd be really nice to get some Martian blueberries and cut them in half and see what's inside. Maybe someday. And then in August of 2012, flying saucer appeared in the skies above Mars. A flying saucer. How do we know? Because we sent it. And inside was another rover. But unlike the Spirit and Opportunity, were the size of golf carts, this thing was the size of an automobile. 2,000 pounds. Way too big to be lowered by supersonic parachute, retro rockets, and Kevlar balloons. What do we do? We need rockets. We need big rockets. We need fuel tanks. We need landing computers. We need a radar altimeter. We need all this stuff. It's like, well, okay, but then we don't have any room for this sciencey shit stuff. And it turns out NASA has actual rocket engineers working for them. And one of them said, I have an idea. Why don't we get a two-part spacecraft? One that has the rocket motors, the fuel tanks, the landing computers, the terrain matching stuff and all that. And then we have the rover loaded with the sciencey stuff. Having two separate things. And EDL, entry, descent, and landing. So as it enters the atmosphere, the drogue chute pops out, slows it down to maybe 1,000 miles an hour or something. Then we don't need the heat shield anymore. We can drop the heat shield. And then nestled inside the back shell, we have the rover and the sky crane. The sky crane that has rocket motors. And then they would lower the rover on cables to the surface. And when the wheels touch down, there are little squat switches in the wheels. So when they touch down, they trigger a circuit that fires pyrotechnics, guillotines that cut the cables. And when that happens, the sky crane then flies off and crashes somewhere else. And it leaves the rover on the surface to do its rovery things, to zap. They have a laser that can zap rocks at a distance and analyze the puff of vapor that comes off. They don't have to actually physically touch the thing. This is so amazing. How about that? We can do that. And everybody said, are you insane? All of this happening in the proper sequence, autonomous, because it's like 8 to 10 minutes away radio time one way. We can't control this from Earth. It has to happen autonomously. It has to happen just this way. And everything has to work. This is so complicated. Are you insane? And they said, no. And so on August 12th, I witnessed this in live.
You were on Mars?
No, on the radio. Oh, it's not showing the audio because we're screwed here.
Oh,
How did you get the audio to work?
I will help you with that.
Oh,
Can you pause it?
can I pause it?
Just hit the back arrow.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we can minimize.
That's okay. We'll just do. I'll do the sound effects.
Okay, yeah. You
He's got the hat. Let
I
him do
got
the sound
that. I
effect.
got it. Yeah, usually we can do this.
In the video, we'll have the sound.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Okay, here we go. Traveling through space.
There's no
There's no such space. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's either. Yeah.
Gotta have something.
Okay, and the back shell that has the solar panels, the service module, 8.5 months, just like delivering a baby. And the back shell comes off, and now the service module comes off, and now you have the spacecraft coming in at 12,500 miles an hour. The atmosphere is really thin, but it's coming in. The little reaction motor is dropping the weights that keep the thing balanced. So now, because you want to be able to steer it, and so the reaction jets, the motors are firing. Here it is entering the atmosphere. The heat shield is glowing like the surface of the sun, slowing it down from 12,000 miles per hour to about 2,000 miles per hour, slowing down, making adjustments. Not too shallow, it'll skip away. Not too steep, it'll burn up. So it's coming in just right. Here it is, coming down, ready to pop the drogue. A mortar fires the drogue chute out the back. There it goes. There's the drogue. You don't need the heat shield anymore. Drop the heat shield. Let's see, about 2,000 feet above the surface, they drop the package and hope the rocket motors light up. Here we go. Poof. All 8 of them fire up,
Wow.
slowing it down. Now you're slow down, getting close. You don't need all 8 rocket motors. Kill 4 of them. Now you only have 4. There's the rover underneath. It's coming down. The terrain matching camera is trying to figure a good place to land from its database. It kind of knows where it is roughly. The radar altimeter is keeping track of the altitude as it gets closer. There it is, matching, trying to find a flat place to land. Don't want to land on a big rock or in a crater. Down to 4 rocket motors. There goes the rover. Wheels about to deploy, ready to come down. There we go. Coming down. Okay, and you can't hear it, but I'm going to do it. As the wheels touch down, 3 little explosions are the pyrotechnics, the guillotines that cut the cords. Here we go. All 3 of them. And the sky crane flies off and crashes on Elon's thing. And the rover is left on the plane. And it worked!
Oh my gosh.
It worked perfectly. This is in 2012. I listened to it. It was delayed because 8 minutes or so. So whatever we were hearing on the radio, responses from the spacecraft through JPL, they were hearing these cues. Drogue deployed, wheels deployed. The rockets are all that had already happened 8 or more minutes before. So we were just kind of hearing, it wasn't real time. And then in 2020, we did it again. Same scenario, same exact thing, and it worked again.
Wow.
Perfectly. Perseverance landed in Jezero crater. Beautiful. It was even more capable, and it had a helicopter. That was the weirdest thing. Everybody said, hey, look, the Martian atmosphere is like 0.4% of Earth's atmosphere. It's practically vacuum. You can't get a helicopter to work on that. And then somebody said, well, maybe we can. So they built a helicopter with bigger blades than normal, made them out of carbon fiber. The whole thing was super light with good batteries, a little solar panel, and they flew it in the giant vacuum chamber at NASA. They pumped most of the air out to where it's like 0.4% of Earth's atmosphere. They put a spring on it to duplicate Martian gravity, which is like 38% of Earth. So and it flew in the vacuum chamber. So I said, maybe. So they stuck it to the underside of the spacecraft, and it pooped it out,
Dropped it off.
and then walked off. And there it was. And it assembled itself, and they were hoping they could get a couple of flights out, maybe one or two, who knows? And it was a great success. Turned out to be like a little Pathfinder. It would fly out ahead, make these little short flights, a minute, maybe 90 seconds. It would fly out ahead, scout ahead for places where the Perseverance rover could go. And it was brilliant. And the parachute that brought this thing, supersonic parachute, had this weird pattern that puzzled a lot of people. Well, turns out, this scientists like to have fun, okay? And so here's the parachute deploying. But look at the pattern. It's digital code, the JPL motto.
Oh.
Dare mighty things. And then the outer ring has the latitude and longitude of Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
Wow.
JPL. Because it's just fun. Because it's fun. And in fact, the rover wheels have patterns on them so they get traction on the Martian soil. And within the pattern of the wheels is coded JPL. So it's as it's rolling around on Mars, it's leaving tracks of JPL.
Oh.
I know, it's great. So we landed there in Jezero crater, and it is, you hear people say Jezero, but Jezero in Serbian means lake. So this is Jezero Lake, that's lake. Okay.
Like Tahoe.
Yeah, there's the crater. And clearly, we have a river coming down here, a delta, and then more river coming out the other side. This was a giant lake after it had been made a crater by a big impact. There's the delta, and the Neretva River, which is also in the former Yugoslavia, that flows into Jezero, and it flows in and out of this thing. And so we landed right down here. And then it drove around for miles. And last year, it stopped right here, right in the riverbed, ancient, dried up riverbed. And right here, Bright Angel Falls, which is reference to a thing in the Grand Canyon. But right there at Shavaya Falls, and one of the things with Perseverance is that it's been taking core samples, drilling into the substrate, taking core samples, putting some on board, and then leaving some behind for the eventual sample return mission that so far hasn't materialized. They're still playing with it. But the idea was to have a rover come years later and follow in the tracks of Perseverance and pick up those samples and put them in a rocket thing and bring them back to Earth. But that kind of fell out of the budget for a while. But this may bring it back on. What they found last year was a sample rock that had these, things, dark spots they call poppy seeds, and little markings they call it leopard spots. The poppy seeds are vivianite, which on Earth is found in organic stuff like fossils. If you've seen the green kind of sheen on ammonites fossils, it's called amylite as a jewelry thing. That's vivianite. It's hydrated iron phosphate And we find that in earth fossils in a lot of places where bacteria have been doing their work. And then also we find greigite, and greigite is iron sulfide inside of this thing, and both are found in the presence of current and previous bacterial activity. Now, can you get vivianite and greigite without biological activity? Yes, you can. In high temperature situations where you have superheated water, 800 to 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, volcanism and all of that. But here, it's an old dried up riverbed, no sign of volcanism, no high temperature stuff of any kind. And so unlike other organic-y things that we found on Mars before, where people said, well, you could also do it inorganically. We said, all right. So they have said, if you want to show that this is organic rather than inorganic, you need to provide evidence that it's organic. The foot is on the other shoe now. We are saying this is organic stuff that on Earth would have been clear, unambiguous signs of bacterial history. The only alternative is high temperature stuff, which there's no evidence of that. So if you want to say this is not organic, it's up to you to provide a source of greigite and vivianite in the absence of high temperature stuff. So this is good shit, good stuff. So now the Mars sample return mission may be back on track. It may be the Chinese doing it, but we'll see. So the idea is to have a follow-up rover come up following behind Perseverance, and then picking up the samples, stuffing it into this thing, all these rock samples, and then this part elevates and shoots back to Earth. Cool.
Yes.
So here's the family, right? The little Sojourner, Spirit and Opportunity, Curiosity and Perseverance. Sojourner, expected to last for a few days. It lasted 3 months. Spirit and Opportunity, they were hoping to get 3 months out of him, maybe 6 months. Spirit lasted 6 years.
Wow.
At 5.5 years, one of the electric motors burned out, so it was down to 5 wheels. What do we do? One of the rocket scientists said, we could have it back up. So it spent another 6 months roving around, dragging a bad wheel, doing more good science. And then when they looked back at the trail left by the dragging wheel, they found permafrost. It's like, whoa, we never would have seen that before. Water ice, just an inch or so below the Martian surface. Spirit, 6 years. Opportunity, 50 years.
Wow.
Drove like 20 miles all over the Mars. Curiosity and Perseverance still rolling. And the stupid little helicopter that they were hoping to get 2 or 3 flights out of, 72 flights.
Wow.
Over a year and a half of scouting and flying. It was zzz. Today, Mars is the only planet, maybe in the universe, only populated by robots.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Now, we don't have to wait for Martian sample return because we already have over 150 meteorites on Earth that we now know came from Mars. We didn't know it when they were collected, but now that we've been on Mars and we've sampled Mars rocks, people said, oh, that looks familiar. That spectral pattern looks familiar. And they said, oh, let's look in the meteorite collections. And from all over the world, we've combined, it's over 150 meteorites. One of the more famous ones is ALH 84001, collected in the Allen Hills region of Antarctica back in 1984. The first meteorite, about the size of my fist. 10 years later, they dug it out of the collection. They said, wow, that's a Martian meteorite. Let's open it up, look what's inside. Guess what? There's organic shit and things that look suspiciously like bacterial fossils. Not to say they are, but in light of what we're finding out recently, this could be really interesting stuff. So we know that rocks have a way of getting transported from planet to planet, mostly from Mars to other planets, including Earth, partly because Mars's atmosphere really thin, gravity only 38%, big impacts like Hellas and Argyre lofted a lot of stuff into the atmosphere. And if life did develop on Mars, it probably went very deep. Like here on Earth, we have bacteria 4, 5, 6 miles underground. It's possible, and we found that bacteria have a really good survival rate in space. They've been on the moon for years at a time without much problem. And so it could be that there's interplanetary transport of bugs, maybe from Mars. And so we know, yes?
So did they open the ALH meteorite to see if it was bacteria?
Have they opened?
Did they open it?
Yeah, that's what those cross sections were.
Okay.
Yeah. And there was, Bill Clinton made a big national things like, we've found the stuff in the rock. And then there was a lot of argument and people just said, oh, you jumped the gun and this is not evidence of life. I mean, it could be ambiguous. So it sort of died down because we still really wanted, I mean, the fossils are too small for living organisms and, it's not really good evidence. But we got very excited about it. So when people say, we're not ready to hear about alien life, yeah, we heard about it and it was like, not a big deal. We made it. There was no revolutions, no people in the streets with torches and whatnot. So we know that asteroids and comets can be bringers of death, ask the dinosaurs. But could they be the bringers of life? Possibly. The diversity of life on Earth. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff on Earth. But considering that Mars was farther out from the sun, smaller, cooled faster, had surface water, oceans, before Earth did, was habitable before Earth. And because of all the transport of stuff from Mars to other places, it's plausible that life on Earth could be the result of contamination from Mars. And if we ever find Martian life or evidence of it, if they have DNA or some kind of genetic stuff, and we could match it up and go, whoa! So after centuries of looking for Martians, it might just turn out that we are they.
Oh, wow.
We could be Martians. So, back in the early 2000s, this guy, Bas Landstrup, proposed going to Mars, taking people to Mars in this project called Mars One. Mars, well, again, sounds like Italian dish. Marzone. Marzone. It's with the penne pasta and the red sauce. No, Mars One. Not because they were the first ones. Mars One was for one way. They were proposing to send people to Mars and leave them. And of course, the project would be, they would send 6 people, or maybe 8, on a spacecraft the size of a small school bus for 9 months. These 6 people would be packed into this school bus along with enough sandwiches and coffee to last 9 months without killing each other. Good luck with that. And then they would land on Mars after they already had delivered all these living modules. This is cool. Hydroponic gardens, all of that stuff. They would land on Mars and they had meetings. The Million Martian Meeting. Yeah. Yes, Mars One. Meet your future neighbors. I mean, look at this. It's right out of the 50s. And there were going to be millions of people on Mars, and 200,000 volunteers. 200,000 people volunteered to go to Mars one way. I mean, how bad does your life have to suck that you're willing to go die in space?
You could probably get a lot more now.
I'm sure. They selected 100 finalists out of the 200,000. 100. What are the criteria selected for their scientific training, skills, or talents? No, they were selected for their watchability because this was going to be televised 24/7. You people would buy subscriptions. Jerry Springer was involved. Guess what? Surprise. The ultimate reality TV show. People would pay to watch these people die in space. And I'm sure it would work. Fortunately, it never got off the ground, literally. But we see a lot of press about this. We're going to go to Mars. Let's build a base on the moon as a stepping stone to Mars. Why go to Mars? Well, I did a lot of research on this thing, and every article paper showed these artist renditions of people working on Mars, climbing rocks, looking at rocks, drilling rocks, breaking rocks, holding rocks, talking to rocks, petting rocks. Martian rocks. We know what they are. Yeah, we have them here. These are Earthian rocks as opposed to Martian rocks. And we don't have to spend trillions of dollars to retrieve them from Mars. You could just go to Lowe's or any... and you don't have to buy a cubic yard. You could just get a little bag. And I actually have some in my little sack. So if you want to come touch my rocks, I can. Little Martian rocks.
It's not quite the same stuff.
I know, but it's oxidized volcanic rocks and stuff. So yes, humans on Mars someday, probably, but not for a long time, because there really is not an economic model that makes any sort of sustained colonization practical. As Neil deGrasse Tyson put it, that's a very, I mean, if you're a venture capitalist and you invite one of these guys and just, propose, it's like the questions you ask, is this going to be expensive? Oh yeah, like trillions of okay. Is it going to take a while? Yeah, probably 20 years or so to get a 20 years, trillions. Is it dangerous? Oh yeah, people will die. Okay, how soon can we expect to get a return on our investment? Yeah, not, it's just rocks. That's a very short meeting. So while exploration is great and robots are amazing, they're getting better every day, it used to be that people had to go. I mean, you send a geologist up there, they'd look at that stuff and, the robot takes 2 days to analyze it. A geologist can say, oh, that's that. But today, the robots are so good. The main reason to send people along, aside from vanity projects or national pride stuff, whatever, the main reason to send people up there is to service the robots. To make sure the robots are clean off the solar panels and grease their wheels and all that stuff. So this, there just is not an economic model. Except if we find life on Mars. If we find living things on Mars, we're going to go there and we're going to plant our flag and we're going to have a colony, but more like what we have on Antarctica. The sort of thing that a few dozen people from different countries are there for a period of time. Most likely they will never be able to come back, because after 9 months of weightlessness in space and then subjected to 38% Earth's gravity for several years before you can come back, and then another 9 months, you're going to come back to Earth and live in a bucket for years, because you won't be able to walk anymore, and not to mention your immune system and many other physiological things that happen from zero-G or reduced gravity, osteoporosis, lots of things that we don't know how to handle. So just enjoy it. Follow the rovers. They're going to get better and better. Hopefully some return missions, but it's just going to take a while to have any sort of meaningful colonies on the moon or Mars. The Chinese want to go there. Go. Have fun with it. I know. Yeah, take Elon. Yeah, and half the administration. I know. Anyway, if you want the books, like I said, I've sold out, but I have the PDF files that I sent to the printers, and for $20, buy a book, imaginary book, email me, and I will send you PDF copies of all 4 books. 200 fun little stories, like it's about squid, about Mars, about weird things, bone-eating worms, lots of cool stuff. And of course, if you like today's show, Mars, it's one of 12 top-size programs, Milos on a stick, USB stick, $20, 12 hours of Milos. Wildlife of Alaska, fire and ice, volcanoes with the night sky, Are We Alone, Panama Canal, the moon, weather, energy, origin of life, all this. This is a new show I just did. So lots of fun stuff. All you do is go home, stick it in the back of your TV, the US port, and then use your remote and watch it on TV. It's optimized for TV. See me about that afterwards. And that's it.
Okay.